Hi, Journal Junction here, and today we are going to mass make some backgrounds on playing cards when you don't have to sand them and make a big mess sanding, and it's so quick and easy to add the tissue paper to the cards front and back so that you can make these types of cards for your journals. I've hole punched all of these. I haven't added the ribbon yet, but I added some fun items to them. I'm not going to be decorating the cards today, just adding the background so you can see how quick and easy it is. I'm just going to be using these cards. I'm going to use this tissue paper. It's not tissue paper, it's pattern paper from Sewing Patterns. And what I do is I put the paper upside down on my table. Let's clear off the table here a little bit. And I am going to then just put some cards out really quickly. And I just glue the tops of the cards with a glue stick, making sure to get all the edges. And I do this really quickly. I do all of them once at the same time, and then I'm going to turn them over onto the pattern paper. I'm going to place them on the pattern paper in places where I can get some words and arrows and lines, and you see I am using a glue stick, purple glue stick, but that will dry clear. And let me get this all on and then I'll be right back. Okay, I've got glue on all of them, and now here we go. I'm going to start putting these down where I think it will make an interesting pattern onto the card. I like showing the arrows, but I did rip that a little bit, so let's put that, let's put that over here. Okay, now we work a little bit quickly, and I am going to use my brayer. And this will get all of the wrinkles and air bubbles out of the pattern paper. And you see how quickly that was. I'm just going to flip them over. And I'm going to use my brayer again. If you don't have a brayer, you can just use your fingers or your hands and spread the paper out to get the wrinkles out, and they come out very quickly. Okay, I'm going to pause it again, but what I'm going to do first is I am going to separate the cards, and then I'm going to glue this side and put them back down again. So I'll be right back. Okay, for these two cards, because this paper is interesting, and they're right next to each other, I just put the glue down, and I am going to just fold this paper over real tight, so it saves me cutting one edge as well. Okay, so you could use your brayer, or you can just use your fingers to smooth out all of the air bubbles like I have here. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry, and I am going to glue the backs of these real quick and put them down on the paper, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I've glued and laid down the cards so that the opposite side of the card will get the layer of tissue. I am just using the brayer to get out all the air bubbles, and on this one the tissue ripped, so I had to add another little piece of tissue on top. So don't worry if the tissue rips. You can always just add more tissue on top. And as you can see, I put the cards to where there are some lines and some interesting pieces, so that when I cut the tissue away, there'll be some interesting lines and words and such on the cards themselves. So the next step is just to let this dry. So I'm going to let it dry and then I'll be back. So after they're dry, not the last thing I do, I cut the additional tissue off of the card, and it's easy after they dry. You can just feel where the card is, and just cut it right there close to the card. And cut them all off. You'll then have a little stack of cards ready to go. After I cut them apart like this, you could cut around the corners. I'm not that good at it, so I use my corner rounder right here, and I use the smallest corner rounder, and I do 2 at a time, and I round the corners of the cards. Then after I round the corners, I ink the edges of the cards just to give them more of a vintage look, and then they will be ready to decorate. And I will show you a few of the ones I've decorated. And I'm going to pause it while I finish cutting the rest of these, and then I'll be back to show you after I ink the edges and round the corners. I will be back. By rounding the corners 2 at a time, what I meant is I take 2 cards and put them in and do them at a time. Seems to work better for this because I'm really just taking off the snips of the pattern paper, not really taking off any of the playing card because those corners are already rounded. I am just taking off the little pieces of tissue paper. It seems silly, but I think it really makes a difference. So after I'm done rounding the corners, I ink the edges, and that just gives them a nicer vintage quality. And I'm using a vintage photo here, and I just take them across like this, and you can see how it changes the look. I mean, you could even go across this a little bit if you wanted to. I've got a bunch done here already. I'm going to continue to ink the edges. I don't want to bore you with this, so I will pause again and I will be back. Okay, well, I'm finished inking the edges, and I just wanted to show you how the cards turned out. And I think they're quite nice as they are, but I'll show you a few that I've decorated after I run through these real quick. But yeah, you can put a hole in the top with a hole punch and put a ribbon through and make tags, or seriously, I think these are just cute to put in pockets as is. I am making a sewing journal, several sewing journals right now, so I will be using these and I will be decorating them. But I made all of those in a matter of about 15 minutes or so. So I made these earlier, and it does take me quite some time to decorate. I'm not the best at it yet, but I fussy cutted some paper doll type figures, and I used music pages, some words, and some book pages, and I decorated them, collaging, put the holes in the top, and had some fun with that. Here I used a sticker. I used another sticker there. I quite like this one. Sticker. This one I only used a sticker. I just can't figure out what else to do with it to add any more to it. Maybe I'll sew something on the side and it'll probably look, and this one I didn't even put a hole in the top because I don't want to put a hole in her head, and I'm just going to use it as is without putting a ribbon in the top. This one is fun, and this one I'm going to use in a garden journal that I'm making, and put a pretty rose sticker on there, some music paper, and I stamped garden on a piece of paper and ripped that out and put it on there. But these are just really sweet. Tell me what you think, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really does help small creators like me. And tell me what you thought in the comments, and what would you use these for in your journals. Thanks a lot, and I hope you have a great day.